would like to take this opportunity to apologise to Mrs. and Mr. Steenkamp, to Reeva's family. Those of you who knew her who are here today, I'd like to apologise and say that there's not a moment, and there hasn't been a moment since this tragedy happened, that I haven't thought about your family. I can't imagine the pain and the sorrow and the emptiness that I've caused you and your family. I was simply trying to protect Reeva.
This isn't merely a tale of crime and punishment. It's tragic, it's sudden, and it's shocking, and it left the world gasping for answers. This is the story of Oscar Pistorius, the Blade Runner, who, in the blink of an eye, went from inspiring millions with his athletic feats of greatness to standing trial for a haunting murder. In the quiet early hours of February 14th, 2013, a chilling series of events unfolded in the high-end Pretoria neighborhood of Silver Lakes. Oscar Pistorius, the world-renowned athlete, was asleep in his bedroom when, according to his account, he heard a noise he believed to be an intruder. The atmosphere was tense, the silence of the night broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioning. Pistorius, a man with a known affinity for firearms, grabbed his 9mm pistol, a weapon he kept close due to his heightened sense of vulnerability. He moved cautiously towards the bathroom, his heart pounding, his mind racing with thoughts of self-defense. The door was closed, and in his fear, he fired 4 shots through the wooden barrier. The sound of the gunshots echoed through the house, a sound that would soon echo around the world. Behind that locked door lay Reeva Steenkamp, his girlfriend, a young woman whose life was brutally cut short. The bullets pierced not just the door, but Reeva herself. Neighbors, woken by the commotion, called for help, and soon the police arrived only to find nothing but chaos and confusion. Pistorius was now a murderer. While in a state of shock and grief, he mistook Steenkamp for an intruder, or so he said. It was a claim he now had to convince a court. However, the prosecution painted a different picture, one of a heated argument that ended in violence, suggesting that the shots were fired in anger, not fear. The public also wasn't convinced, and this marked the beginning of his fall from grace. To truly grasp the magnitude of this case, we must delve into the extraordinary life Oscar Pistorius led before that fateful night. Born in Johannesburg, South Africa, on November 22, 1986, Pistorius faced adversity from the moment he entered the world. At just 11 months old, due to a congenital condition known as fibular hemimelia, both of his legs were amputated below the knee. This could have been the end of many stories, but for Pistorius, it was just the beginning. Growing up, he refused to let his disability define him. Instead, he channeled his energy into sports, a realm where he could prove his worth and defy expectations. He wanted to prove all the doubters wrong. So, by sheer grit and determination, he excelled in rugby, water polo, and wrestling, showcasing a spirit as resilient as his prosthetic limbs. However, it was running that captured his heart and soul. With the advent of the cheetah blades, prosthetic limbs designed for speed, Pistorius transformed himself into Blade Runner, a nickname that would echo around the world. His athletic achievements were nothing short of phenomenal. He dominated the Paralympic Games, setting world records and winning gold medals. But Pistorius aimed higher. He sought to compete against able-bodied athletes, a goal that seemed like a pipe dream. Yet, in 2012, he made history by becoming the first double-leg amputee to compete at the Olympic Games in London. His participation was a testament to human potential, inspiring millions to look beyond their limitations. Pistorius was not just an athlete, he was a symbol of triumph over adversity, a beacon of hope for those facing physical challenges. His story transcended sports. It put true human potential on display. You could say he was a pioneer of perseverance. He proved that almost anything is possible. His charisma, coupled with his athletic prowess, made him a global icon, and in no time his face was all over magazine covers, and his story featured in documentaries and books. Behind the dazzling smile and the inspiring achievements, however, lay a more complicated reality. There were whispers of a darker side to Pistorius, a fiery temper that simmered beneath the surface. The same fire that made him an animal on the track was also his weakness. What was also strange was his fascination with firearms. After he had shot and killed Steenkamp, all of his skeletons were laid out for the world to see. His trial became a global spectacle, drawing attention from every corner of the world. It wasn't just about the facts of the case, it was a clash of narratives, a legal drama that captivated and horrified viewers. Judge Thokozile Masipa, known for her no-nonsense approach, presided over the courtroom, and she was determined to find out the truth no matter what it would take. The prosecution, led by Jerry Nell, often referred to as the Bulldog, painted a picture of Pistorius as a man with a volatile temper, a history of reckless behavior, and a proclivity for firearms. They argued that the events of that night were the result of a heated argument. In other words, he'd murdered her in a furious rage. They introduced evidence of previous incidents involving guns, text messages hinting at a tumultuous relationship, and inconsistencies in Pistorius's account of the night. On the other side, the defense, led by Barry Rue, crafted a narrative of vulnerability, fear, and a tragic mistake. They emphasized Pistorius's disability, arguing that his heightened sense of danger made him react defensively when he thought he was under threat. They portrayed him as a man who lived with the constant fear of crime, a fear that was magnified by his physical condition. Expert witnesses were brought in to discuss the psychology of fear, the acoustics of gunshots, and the nuances of self-defense. Figuring this one out was no easy task. The courtroom became a battleground of emotions. Pistorius broke down on the stand, his sobs echoing through the room, a stark contrast to the athlete who once sprinted past his competitors. His defense team comforted him, highlighting the emotional toll of the trial. The Steenkamp family, present in court, faced their own grief, their pain palpable as they listened to the details of their daughter's last moments. As the trial progressed, the world dissected every detail, every word, searching for answers, and with every twist and turn broadcast live, there was nowhere for Pistorius to hide. The trial was not just about determining guilt or innocence, it was about understanding the human psyche as well as the justice system. As the days and weeks went on, everyone was holding their breath. The anticipation was electric and everyone involved was nervous. After weeks of testimony, Judge Masipa delivered her verdict. It was a decision that would be scrutinized, debated, and discussed for years to come. She found Pistorius not guilty of murder, but guilty of culpable homicide, acknowledging that while he did not intend to kill Steenkamp, his actions were negligent and with excessive force. The verdict was met with mixed reactions, sparking a global debate. Masipa reasoned that the state had not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Pistorius had the intent to kill Reeva Steenkamp. However, she did find him guilty of using excessive force, failing to take precautions that a reasonable person would have taken in that situation. This was met with a mixture of shock, outrage, and relief. Some praised Judge Masipa for her meticulous approach and her refusal to be swayed by public pressure, while others condemned the verdict as a miscarriage of justice, arguing that Pistorius's fame and privilege shielded him from a harsher sentence. The verdict sparked a global debate about race, privilege, and the justice system, raising uncomfortable questions about whether a different defendant, one without Pistorius's fame and resources, would have received the same verdict. Lost in the legal complexities and the media frenzy was the tragic reality of a life cut short. Reeva Steenkamp, a law graduate and model, was more than just a victim in this tragic story. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a young woman with dreams and aspirations. Her death ignited a national conversation in South Africa about domestic violence, the prevalence of gun violence, and the vulnerability of women in abusive relationships. It forced the nation to confront uncomfortable truths about the dark side of its society. Pistorius was initially sentenced to 5 years in prison for culpable homicide, a sentence many considered too lenient given the severity of the crime. He served a year in prison before being released on house arrest in 2015. However, the prosecution appealed the sentence, arguing that it was too lenient and did not reflect the gravity of the crime. In 2017, the Supreme Court of Appeal agreed, more than doubling his sentence to 6 years. So, what are your thoughts? Do you believe justice was served? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And let's remember Reeva Steenkamp, not just as a victim, but as a young woman whose life was tragically cut short. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations into the world of true crime. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.